Ladies and gentlemen, it's Silicon Steve Alley here, and I would love to welcome you to watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. And on today's quick little pop-in, we're going to review last night's really exceeding expectation type event, WrestleMania Night 1. A lot of people thought it was not going to be a great night. Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't supposed to have a match, and Ronda Rousey was wrestling. So people were really disappointed. However, guess what? Cody Rhodes, after all the speculation, does show up. We're excited about that. It was absolutely fantastic debut for him. If you were not paying attention, did not know, he came through with his full American Nightmare regalia. Same song. He was using his Kingdom song from Down Straight, I believe the name of the band is. So Cody Rhodes, after all the speculation, even late speculation from the Meltzer crew saying that Cody might back out, not to be the case. Cody was there, and he had an absolutely fantastic match, and it's hard. If you're a competent wrestler, it's pretty hard not to have a great match with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes absolutely put on a banger. Not the best match of the night because, for my money, the match that stole this show was Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. I'm joking. That match was the low light of the show, clearly. But Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch had an absolute classic. It is arguably the greatest women's match in WrestleMania history. For my money, it is. And it's because this storyline was kind of flying under the radar a lot because of everything going on with Roman, Brock, and certainly Ronda and Charlotte on SmackDown. This particular storyline took a little while to really understand how good it's been. I mean, this has been a build that started at SummerSlam last year. Didn't love the way it happened. It got off to a rough start, if we remember. But now they have built the reasoning why they hated each other so much. They built in terms of Becky and Bianca, and they had an absolute classic match. Bianca winning the Raw Women's Championship for the second year in a row at WrestleMania. It should have been the main event. If you are more of a wrestling purist and you're worried about the in-ring and the current in-ring product and the current product and storylines, that would be the way you'd want to go. However, the other big story of the night, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't supposed to have a match. Ladies and gentlemen, Stone Cold Steve Austin competes in a match for the first time since The Rock beat him at WrestleMania 19, and he beats Kevin Owens in a no-holds-barred match, impromptu match, so to speak. It was the main event. And for all of us who are bitching and complaining, and I'm including myself, for putting a talk show in the main event, it did not disappoint. It was clearly a nostalgia act, clearly to make money, clearly to get the nostalgia good feel. It all was. It didn't have a soul. Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out and beating Kevin Owens because Canada's better than Texas did not have a soul at all. If you were looking for that, But if you wanted that Steve Austin pop, you wanted that Stone Cold Steve Austin BMFer, DTA, drinking the beer, the Steve Weisers, of course, the IPA lager, the Broken Skull lager. If I drank, I'd probably be into it. But actually not lagers. I'm not a lager guy. But those are the three big stories coming out tonight, though. We have Bianca and Becky stealing the show. Cody Rhodes shows up, wins using 4 crossroads. And the pedigree was used by Seth. Cody teased it twice. And so it was kind of cool to see Cody tell a lot of his story of what he's been doing the last 6 years into this match. I am slightly concerned if Cody can put great matches on with people who aren't Seth Rollins. Just put it out there. We'll see. I think he's a good wrestler, but we'll see. But either way, the beautiful part about Cody Rhodes showing up, and I don't mean to crap on him, and I don't want to detract anything because I love Cody and I respect everything he did. AEW probably isn't happening without Cody Rhodes. So for those AEW fans who are shitting all over this guy for making a decision that was right for himself, for his family, there obviously something very personal went down between he and Tony Khan. Whatever the case may be, we're probably never going to know. However, the fact remains is Cody Rhodes was as instrumental in the genesis of All Elite Wrestling as anybody, with the exception of Tony Khan, because you needed the financier to back that up. But Cody Rhodes, make no mistake, he deserves our respect and our love for everything he has done to start the I don't want to say start necessarily, but to continue and really make major strides for this revolution for professional wrestling coming back to where it needs to be. So just because he's in WWE, don't disrespect what this guy did over the last 6 years of his career. That being said, when he left as Stardust. He left as a boy in many respects. After his pyro and elongated announcement, Down Straight Kingdom hits, which has been synonymous with Cody Rhodes' entrances. He even came up underneath like he did in AEW. It was the entire American Nightmare package. And I really hope he gets to tell his story. And I do believe, if I had to predict right now, I believe that you'll see Cody Rhodes as the Universal World WWE Champion Heavyweight ever of the world. Whatever they're going to call it when it's unified. I do believe it's going to happen. And it may even happen closer toward next year's WrestleMania, as here's the deal. Cody Rhodes might be your world champion next year going into WrestleMania. And the reason I say that is because everyone knows it's going to be The Rock and Roman. That doesn't need a title. It'll still be the main event. Cody still won't main event WrestleMania. But it'll allow Cody to get what his father never did, certainly what his brother never did, and that's get the title in WWE, which many people consider the biggest title on the planet. And frankly, it is, folks. That's where you get the most of the notoriety. That's where you make the most money. That's where you are really a spokesperson for everything that is professional wrestling. Even though we may hate WWE, that's the fact. That is the case. So I just wanted to shout that out. And anyone listens to me, I kill WWE a lot more than I'll ever kill AEW. And it's not because I think AEW, I am a homer for them. It's because they've been putting on product that's more up my alley. And I appreciate it. But WWE and the way they did Cody, I thought was great. You know, you would wish maybe they could have had a build or what have you, but this was done great. I don't have much of a problem with it. I liked how Seth Rollins didn't act like he was surprised when he saw it. He was like, oh, okay. All right, let's go. And Seth went right into like go mode. And they had a great match. So that was the biggest probably news of the night. Then you go to Bianca and Becky. And it was just a classic. It really was. A lot of hints back to when they first started, you know, an early try to finish of the match by Becky, hearkening back to their SummerSlam match. So there were a lot of really positive things. Some great reversals, including the final KOD. And Bianca's a 5-tool player. She's young. And Becky is at the top of her game. Folks, the women easily was the women match here between Bianca and Becky was easily the best match of the night. Completely 100%. And it really should have been the main event. But we didn't want to upstage Ronda and Charlotte. And I would be remiss. No major botches. Nothing's really horrible. But you didn't feel anything. You didn't feel anything this entire feud. You really didn't. And it was 20 minutes of meh. Finish was weird. It was the worst part of the night. And when people say, oh, well, WrestleMania was predictable because you knew Cody was going to be there. Come on. We knew CM Punk was coming back on August 20th of last year. And we knew that Hangman was going to beat Kenny at Full Gear. Just because you know something's going to happen, it's still what story is being told. And guys, if you're hating on WWE because it was predictable, let's look in ourselves and be better. But the one thing that is predictable that I will give a pass on is if you predicted Charlotte and Ronda was going to be the worst part of this night, ding, 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 you certainly got the answer correct. Other matches that were noteworthy, the Usos defending the tag team championships to start the night off. I thought it was a little bit of a weird start. Might be something to do with Roman closing tonight. We'll see. But that match didn't really feel anything. You never thought the Usos were going to lose. Ben, unfortunately, Rick Boogs did injure himself trying to lift both members of the Usos. And they had to call an audible and they finished the match presumably quicker. But, I mean, the match was 7 minutes. It probably didn't need to be that much longer anyway. But that's okay. Then we go to Baron Corbin, and we had Drew McIntyre. McIntyre hopefully exercising this stupid feud because then I can start watching him again. I did not watch this match. I heard it was good. And right from there, we had, guys, I would be remiss. Out of all the shit I have ever said about the Pauls, Logan Paul is a professional wrestler, and he's a good one at that. At least is what he's in terms of comparison to other celebrities. The guy had a presence out there. He's a better in-ring performer than Ronda Rousey, bar none, and that's not even close. He did a Three Amigos. He did a frog splash, and it was a pretty good match, actually, between they and the Mysterios. I actually predicted that Paul and Miz would win. I did, but my partner did not. So your defending champion of the Purple Nurple, that is the High Spots and Cheap Pops Pick'em, me, Silicon Steve Valley. I am now up one match on Vladi Dottie. So we're excited about that, trying to maintain my championship, but that's neither here nor there. After the match, which I think was supposed to be a heel turn for the Miz, or a heel to the Miz and a babyface turn for Paul, Miz attacked Paul and hit him with a skull-crushing finale. And I think he was supposed to be the bad guy, he being the Miz, but the crowd popped. I think 80,000 people were cheering because he just did that to his partner. And at the end of the day, Miz walked out head held high as well. And then, of course, we did the Seth Rollins-Cody match, which we talked about. And the other thing to talk about would be Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens. It was a fun nostalgia act. That's all it was. I was not emotionally invested whatsoever, but I was highly entertained. And it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He got the main event, and he wrestled. So a lot of people who was bitching and crying that it was going to be the main event as a talk show, the WWE changed that at the last minute, right in front of everybody, and they really gave the fans their money's worth. And also, I felt like I wasn't gypped, that I was actually watching it. Exactly what I thought was going to happen happened, though. So Austin's going to be holding top, drinking beers, and he was going to stun a couple people and probably stun Owens. I think we said 3 times. He wound up stunning Owens twice. So there you go. I think I said twice, and Vladi Dottie said 3. But I digress. But there were 3 stunners given total, and I think I won that one as well. But it was a great night 1 of WrestleMania, and the big night is tonight. The big night, you have AJ and Edge. Obviously, you have Roman, and you have Brock Lesnar, which is going to be, yeah, folks, guess what? Roman's going to win. Roman's winning this one, too. Yeah. Doesn't mean it's not going to be a good story. Paul Heyman will be involved. I'm interested in that as well. And then there's a couple other matches on there, too. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I'm interested in. Of course, the tag team title match, RK Bro, Alpha Academy, and I believe a very short-to-turn heel, Street Profits. I think they might even win, even though I think I took RK Bro. But depending, if it opens the show, we'll see what happens. But, folks, just wanted to give WWE a shout-out. A fantastic night 1. I call it down the middle. I'm not a homer for AEW, and I always tell somebody, if you ever think I'm a homer for AEW, go back a year ago and see what I was calling Cody Rhodes. That might age a little bit better now if you're an AEW fan. But I call them out for their stuff. I've been very critical of their women's division. I've been very critical of a lot of things. So keep that in mind. And in this case, if WWE is putting out good product, I'm going to tell you I enjoyed it. I'm going to tell you I liked it. That's what we do here. We don't have an agenda. We're not looking to go out there and try to compare ourselves to other people doing what they're doing, and certainly not using the word marks to a bunch of dorky wrestling fans. Look, chances are you're a mark. If you own a world championship title of any kind and you never actually wrestled or fought for it, you're a mark, okay? There's a lot of things that make us a mark. I have 2. So there's that. But I actually did work in the world of professional wrestling, and I will be working there very shortly again. So before you all throw your word mark at me, you better be careful who you're talking to. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Silicon Steve Valley. Thank you so very much for watching this episode of High Spots and Cheap Pops WrestleMania Night 1 review. I congratulate WWE. You guys did a great job. And enjoy tonight. We'll be back live tonight or tomorrow for a live review of the entire weekend of WrestleMania, but we'll focus primarily on night 2. And we'll also talk about some comments Cody made in some interviews. We'll talk about some of the other things. Did want to touch briefly on Samoa Joe. He is now All Elite, and it's a nice little surprise that they pulled out this past Friday at Ring of Honor Supercard. And go watch FTR and the Briscoes. FTR, my favorite tag team for a reason, and they showed it. Much love, everybody. This is Silicon Steve Valley for High Spots and Sheet Pops.